urinary system, major organ that is involved in the formation of urine is kidneys. We have a pair of kidneys, right? So the outers, the surrounding of the kidney, this is right here. So this is a blow up of the entire kidney. Okay, this is one of the kidneys, and this region that you see is what is inside the kidney. So if you take a longitudinal section of the kidney, this is what you see inside, right? So the outermost covering or the protective layer, that is called the capsule. Now the kidney is also called the renal system, or it is called the renal organ. Okay, so renal capsule, that is what it is called. Okay, inside the capsule you see this dotted region, that is called the cortex. So that is, what cortex is it? Renal cortex. All right. Inside the cortex, like the cortex is made up of medulla. Okay. So what medulla is this? Renal medulla. Okay. The renal medulla is made up of these pyramid-like structures or the triangular structures. Those are the medulla. All right. Between the renal medulla, so this is one medulla, this is one medulla. In between this region is called the renal column. Okay, column-like structures. So that's the renal column between the two medulla, and inside the medulla, the tip of each medulla is made up of renal papilla. So number 30 here represents renal papilla. Okay. Do not get confused with papillary muscles in the heart. It's not a muscle, it's just papilla, and inside kidney, so it is renal papilla. Renal papilla opens up into this smaller region. They are like finger-like projections right here. Okay, those are number 29 right here. That is the minor calyx. Okay, minor calyx, finger-like projections are the minor calyx, which gets collected into major calyx, number 27 here. Okay, and each major calyx together opens up into a common region called renal pelvis. Okay, and the renal pelvis further opens into the ureter. Okay, so what you see in this structure is from the kidneys, what comes out is the ureter, and it connects to the, what is this?
Urinary bladder.
It is the urinary bladder. That's the bladder, and it has the capacity to hold 600 to 800 ml of urine. Okay, and with the contraction of urinary bladder is totally muscular. So with the contraction of the muscles in the urinary bladder, the urine is given out through urethra. Okay, so urethra is connected to the bladder, and ureter is the tube that comes out of the kidneys. All right. Okay, so what is the outer structure here? The dotted regions?
Renal cortex.
Renal cortex. What is the pyramid or triangular structures?
Renal medulla.
Medulla. What is the tip of the medulla? Renal papilla. Okay. Between each medulla, what is this region?
Renal column.
Renal column. What are the finger-like projections here? Minor calyx. Okay. Minor calyx joins to form
Major calyx.
major calyx, and then it opens into a common region, that is pelvis, renal pelvis. Okay. Renal pelvis opens as into ureter that communicates to bladder, and then the urine is given out through urethra. Okay. All right. Now, the kidney, what actually makes the urine is not the kidney, the structure itself, but it is these units called nephrons. Okay. Nephrons are small microscopic units that are located at the cortex, between the cortex and the medulla of the kidney, and there are millions of nephrons that are located here. Okay, and that is the one that makes urine, takes part in making urine. Urine is formed by three major processes. Okay, that is called the filtration, reabsorption, and secretion. Okay, now before I get into the process, let me go over the structure of a nephron. Okay, so in your manual there is the structure of the nephron. This entire structure that you see is the nephron. Okay, the red line and the blue line, those are nothing but the blood vessels. All right, so ignoring the blood vessels, the rest of the structure that you see is the nephron. It is made up of some units that you need to know. The first unit, like these capillaries, which is inside the purple region, those are the knotted capillaries-like structures. That is the glomerulus. Okay, that's the spelling right here, glomerulus. Okay, glomerulus is surrounded by a cup-shaped structure. Right here, the brown region, that's the cup-shaped structure. That is called the Bowman's capsule or the glomerulus capsule. Okay, so what happens is the arteries, okay, the red region is the arteries. The blood vessels, they bring blood, nitrogenous waste rich blood or the uric acid, all those things that is not required by the body. It needs to get out of the body, is brought by the blood vessels, and the pressure is so high that as it enters into the glomerulus, there is this, with high pressure, the waste material is given out. It is filtered through the blood vessels. Okay, and from the blood, all the nitrogenous waste is got rid of into the glomerulus, and that enters into the Bowman's capsule. Okay, so this is the region where filtration occurs. That's the first process of urine formation. Okay, now even some of the, not some, but even the water is also given out. Water, nutrients, hydrogen ions and sodium ions, uric acid, other nitrogenous waste, even amino acids, they are all filtered into the Bowman's capsule and the glomerulus. Okay, many of the stuff that is given during the filtration is actually not the urine. There will be many of the stuff that needs to be reabsorbed into the body. It cannot be, body cannot afford to lose it. It needs to be reabsorbed. Okay, so that reabsorption occurs further down into, so there is this convoluted tubule-like structure, and that is called the proximal convoluted tubules. Okay, proximal, if you go back to the language of anatomy, proximal is something that is closer to some of the region that you are interested in, right? So the capsule is right here. So tube that is near to the capsule, Bowman's capsule, that's the proximal convoluted tubule. Okay, so that's where all entire filtered or the filtered liquid, okay, that enters into this loop, and that is called the loop of Henle. Okay, there is this descending limb and the ascending limb of loop of Henle. All right, and that in the descending limb is where the reabsorption occurs. What is reabsorption? Water, sodium ions, amino acids, all those things that is needed by the body needs to be reabsorbed. It needs to be taken back from here into the blood. Okay, so this is where the reabsorption occurs, and further the urine is concentrated at the ascending limb, that is the hydrogen ions and the uric acid, nitrogenous waste that is not needed by the body is secreted. Okay, so this is where the reabsorption occurs, and this is where the secretion occurs. Secretion is giving off all the nitrogenous waste. All right, from the loop of Henle, it enters into another convoluted tube, and that is called distal convoluted tube. Distal is away, right? So distal to the capsule is called distal convoluted tubules. From the distal convoluted tubules, it enters into another tube, and that is called the collecting tubes. It collects urine, the concentrated waste material. All right. So from the glomerulus, it enters into the Bowman's capsule, into what is this convoluted tubule? Proximal. And then enters into a loop called
Loop of
Henle, and then it enters into
distal convoluted tube.
which gets and the urine gets collected into
Collecting duct.
tube or duct. All right. Now, if you carefully see this top region, that's the cortex, and the bottom region is the medulla. So the nephron is between the cortex and the medulla. The glomerulus and the Bowman's capsule is located at the cortex. Okay, even the proximal convoluted tubule is present on the cortex. But the loop of Henle, this loop is present in the medulla. So the medulla is mainly made of loop of Henle as well as a portion of the collecting duct. Alright, the rest of the portions, where is the capsule, proximal convoluted tubule and the distal convoluted tubule, and a portion of the collecting duct is present in the cortex. Alright, so the urine formation happens between the cortex and the medulla. But finally, it is the medulla that collects all the urine and enters into, what is this? Papilla, okay, renal papilla, and then it gets collected into finger, minor calyx, into, then it gets collected ureter, then and given out from urethra. So that's the pathway of urine. Okay, so if I ask you, give me the pathway of urine, you have to start from the nephron. What happens at the nephron? Okay, filtration, reabsorption, and secretion. So this is a structure of nephron given here also. Okay, what is, let's revise, what is inside? What is that knotted capillary-like structure? Glomerulus. Okay, and the glomerulus is surrounded by this cup-shaped structure, that is Bowman's capsule. From the Bowman's capsule, there is the convoluted tubule. What is that? Proximal convoluted tubule. So 37 is the convoluted tubule, which gets into loop called loop of Henle. Okay, and that's the green region. Loop of Henle makes joins to what convoluted tubule? Distal. This distal is entering into collecting tube. And where is this portion of the collecting tube and the loop of Henle located? In the kidney? In the medulla. Okay, and the capsule, the proximal and the distal convoluted tubules are located in the cortex. Okay, are we clear about this? So that's the structure and how the urine is formed in the kidney.